Okay, well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And we are about to see some fireworks in the economy. March is going to be a very interesting month because we have two main events all coming together at the same time. One of them is the Bank Term Funding Program, which is ending on the 11th of March. This is going to be interesting. We're going to talk about this today. And this connects with bank 0% rates where they don't have to hold any of your deposits and they can loan out multiple times. But we're also seeing a lot of the commercial real estate, and that's what we're going to talk a little bit on today, all coming up for refinancing. So March is going to be a very interesting month. I'll talk in detail on all of this on my monthly macro video for those of you in the private community. I think it's going to be quite a complex one this month, because it's going to shift a lot of things. So that should be out this weekend. So let's go over to the shared screen then. And we'll pick up with this Yahoo Finance article. Macy's to close 150 namesake stores as sales slip. And they're pivoting to luxury with new Bloomingdale locations. So just before I go into the article and talk about this, I said a little while back that and what I was forecasting was this shift then. We're seeing this shift between this bulk of the middle class, predominantly in Western countries I'm talking about here. And we're seeing this shift of a lot of the middle class people dropping in terms of their disposable income, their salaries, their affordability. So a large chunk of this working class, this middle class, kind of dropping down. So I wouldn't say people were dropping. I know you don't have class systems in the US, but other countries still do. But it's sort of dropping down into that lower middle class area because of this squeeze, because of the inflation, because of all this new currency creation, which has pushed up prices of everything, as you know. But what we're also seeing is this really small, at the sort of tip here, the wealthiest wealthy people are getting richer. So we're seeing that, but we're also seeing some of those people in the middle class that for whatever reason, due to the last few years, they got a lot wealthier and they're moving into this group. So we're kind of seeing this massive disparity, what's known as wealth disparity in economics, that's shifting quite dramatically at the moment. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that. So is it any surprise to me that Macy's is saying they're going to be focusing more on luxury? No, and not just for the reason I mentioned, but because I'm sure there is a gap in that market. A lot of people who have a lot of money have been spending for whatever reason. I haven't studied the data or the psychology behind it, but a lot of people are spending a lot more money from this group, whereas the other groups of people are spending less money. That is what the data shows around the other group, the middle class group. So people are getting squeezed, and there is no solution from any government to fix this. The governments cause this problem. The central banks cause this problem in the first place. So don't expect to get bailed out by these institutions. So let's carry on then with this. Macy's going to close 150 unproductive namesake stores over the next 3 years, including 50 by year end. As part of the strategy, Macy's aims to upgrade its remaining 350 stores. Macy's did not provide a list of planned closures, but this one made me laugh. San Francisco's mayor, obviously it's going to be San Francisco. Everyone is getting out of San Francisco. Confirmed that the retailer's sprawling store in the city's Union Square downtown shopping district would be shuttered. No surprise there. While not among the first 50 to be closed, Breed said she was told by Macy's that it is seeking a buyer for the San Francisco property. Good luck with that, because if they honestly think they're going to find a buyer for that, well, that's concerning that they would even think that. They're not. I mean, they could find a buyer, but it may be at the price that we've just seen another property sell for. We'll come on to that in a moment. Macy's store closures mark the second biggest store cut since Feb of 2020, when it announced it was closing 125 of its least productive stores and cutting 2,000 corporate jobs. So that's Macy's. Let's move over and look at what's happening with Best Buy. Best Buy is doing layoffs and store closures as well. So we're seeing this mass retail exodus. And it's interesting when you actually look at the places. And I know it's kind of a controversial point, but hey, I'm a controversial kind of person. But you look at where they are leaving. They're leaving places like California. Why are they leaving San Francisco? Why are they leaving LA? All of these businesses, because of the crime, because of the homeless situation, because of all this other stuff. And again, it's different when you see people who are homeless. They've obviously got challenges and they need help to overcome those challenges. I fully agree with that. But there's a different level of homelessness that I see when I went to the USA compared to when I go to Europe, right? It's completely different. I've never seen, and I said it at the time, and some people, I don't know why, felt offended by this, but it's a fact. I've never seen the circumstances in my life that I saw when I was in US. And I've been to a lot of places. I mean, some of those people were in such bad condition. I know that's sad to say about a human being. I've never seen anything like I saw when I was in the US. And there's obviously severe mental health issues. We know, because we talked about that, how a lot of the centers were just closed and those people were thrown out on the street. Who does that to people? I'm not sure, but that happened in the US. And there is, the issue with drugs, a lot of drugs issues, which is exacerbating this problem in the first place. So is it any wonder then when you combine all of that with a soft on crime policy where, under $1,000 someone can steal and it's a misdemeanor? Is it any surprise that we're seeing these stores closing? No. Why are people still surprised by this? And why do some of the organizations and the leaders who are in those areas try and make out as if there's something wrong with you if you even mention those points, as if it's not that? Like, if you say that there's something wrong with you and you're offending people. No, it's weird to me, honestly, as someone that just looks at things in the most part, when it comes to numbers and economics, I kind of look at it kind of black and white. I find that the easiest way to do it. So when I see some of this stuff, it's weird to me anyway. So let's continue on. This year, they're going to be closing another 15 to 20 stores. But it's not just the US. You look in the UK as well. The Body Shop closures, full list of 75 branches shutting their doors for good. They still have 116 staying open, but they've said that they've gone into administration. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to keep these 116 staying open. But here's the thing I wanted to point out that made me laugh with this article. Good job I didn't have a drink in my mouth when I read it. Administrators said the brand's current portfolio is no longer viable after years of unprofitability. Now, drop in the comments why you think I'm laughing about this unprofitability. Have you been into one of these stores to buy anything? Have you seen the prices of the products where you might only have one staff member there to help you? And in recent years, I mean, I don't know if you go into the Body Shop at all, but in recent years, it's usually a sort of 16-year-old or, a 15-year-old on work experience, or a 16-year-old, and they can't answer any questions whatsoever about any of the products at all. So let's say I'm buying something for my wife, for example. I want to buy her something nice. They can't help. Is it any wonder to me that they're not profitable if they're not selling products? You need people that know what they're talking about. But hey, what do I know? So this is it. They've entered administration, and as a result, they're cutting 40% of the roles at the London headquarters as well. But let's keep going. The high street stores closing in March, so this is this month coming now then, include Lidl, Boots, and Costa Coffee. I mean, Costa Coffee is closing. Who knows how these things, how this is going on? Boots, the health and beauty giant, is among retailers that have closed the most shops and will be joined by Lidl and Costa Coffee. Although, let's just be honest, Costa Coffee is not the best coffee in the world. Drop a comment below if you agree with that. Yeah, they've got a lot of work to do on their coffee. While some sites have a few weeks to go until they cease trading, others will be gone for good tomorrow. So we're seeing closures. We're seeing Boots going down from 2,200 to 1,900. They're axing pharmacies as well. Pharmacies, drugs. How can you be not profitable selling these things that have a monopoly on the marketplace? I don't know. Now 10 more sites are expected to disappear from high streets this March. And you just look at all of the ones that are closing. Hold on, let's bring up the Costa. Yeah, Lidl, another 5 branches. But they're closing. Here we go. Where's the list? In fact, let me look for the list afterwards. But this is Marks and Spencer as well, which is a kind of a posh shop in the UK if you're not from the UK watching. And they've confirmed the loss of another branch following their closures. So they've got another one closing. They're closing 67 low productivity stores as part of a wider 110 stores. The UK is not a big place, so to close 110 stores is saying something. And then we just talked about the Body Shop here. So I want to move on to the commercial real estate aspect then, this fire sale, this really big problem that I see coming in March time. Now, just because I'm saying, I've got to add a caveat here because people always say, oh, Neil, you said in March there's going to be this big problem. It's now, the 28th of March, and where's this problem? Right? I get these things all the time. So the way things work in finance and economics, when something hits, it doesn't mean that it hits that day and that's it. The whole financial world just collapses in 5 minutes. No, that's not the way it works. You have these events that occur and then they have knock-on effects later. And sometimes these knock-on effects can take months. Or you look at the great financial crisis, the GFC, that took years, if not decades, to build up to what actually happened there. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen right away, but this is a major issue that I think is going to have ripple effects. And it could even pull down, I don't want to be too dramatic, but it could even pull down massive financial sectors. So let's just look at the data and let me talk about the article a second. I won't go too hard on all of this because I know some of you will say, oh, Neil, my eyes are glazing over. This is too technical, whatever. So who could be next? Top Canadian pension fund sells Manhattan office. Yes, you did read that right. Manhattan office tower for $1, sparking a fire sale panic. So what do they mean by that? It means other pension funds, things like that, might decide to also sell so that they can get out before the next person. New York during the inflationary surge of the 70s and 80s was a mythical place where one could purchase a Park Avenue penthouse for $1. Yeah, that means that you're taking on the debt, though, by the way, when you buy it for $1. Now, thanks to the brutal, and that's called a lease option. If you're not aware, that is a lease option. I made a training course on that if you want to know how to buy these things for $1, because I see this sometimes. People say, Neil, how did you used to buy properties or land for £1? And people think I'm making it up. It's called a lease option to purchase contract. It's actually very simple to do. I used to do these all of the time, especially just after 2008 when there was a lot of distressed properties where people would have gone bankrupt if I didn't buy those properties for £1. So it is possible, and I'm not going to pitch the course and everything here. You've probably already seen it below if you've ever taken it or whatever. It's one of my property courses. But you can see here, there's this brutal bear hug of the highest interest rates in 40 years and the ongoing CRE crisis. Those legendary days have made a comeback to the Big Apple, if only in the realm of commercial real estate. So Canadian real estate prices, do you remember when they said it never goes down, it only goes up? And here's the charts, look at this, wow, Canadian real estate, look at these prices here. Well, the bubble has truly burst. The gravity does exist in the Canadian real estate market. So The Canadian Pension Plan Investment Board has done all these deals recently, and they've sold properties for $1. Yes, just to get out of the market. And also we're expecting them to keep rising. So these vacancy rates, look at this forecast. This is going up to 18% or higher. These vacancy rates are staggering. 14 to 16% of offices may no longer be viable, and their average transaction prices have declined by 15 to 35%. And the rest, I think we should add that in there as well. But they haven't actually factored in the new prices yet on a lot of these transactions. So we've still got a lot more to go on all of this. So as the persistence of both remote work and higher borrowing costs undercut, so this is the issue here, okay, so what has caused this problem? It's remote work, people don't want to go back to the office, and higher borrowing costs. Now, the other thing this has done is it's had a knock-on effect, and this is why you saw where you would see this tower block with thousands of workers in there. What did you have around that? You would have cafes and restaurants and, other services, might be small businesses. These are all going, especially where these big blocks have emptied. So you're seeing a loss of all of these businesses as well. So it is having this knock-on effect, and we're having even more closures and more closures. And you can see this was, let me see if I can pull this here. So again, you just look at all of these maturities that are coming up, and you can see this massive risk here. Look at 2024, which is this part here. Look how much is maturing. It is quite unbelievable. That wasn't meant to be in there. This is my stocks watch list, by the way. That was accidentally in the video here. So yeah, if you ever want to look at my stocks watch list, you can look at it in the private community. But yeah, not sure how that slipped in there then. So the Manhattan fire sale isn't the pension fund's first sale. Last month, it sold 45% stake in the Santa Monica business. So this was a discount of almost 75% of the value in 2018. This is absolutely mind-blowing. And Goldman's just put out a report saying they need another 50% price drop for residential conversion to actually work. So this is where they're talking about doing these conversions from commercial through to residential. And I've done these back in the day when I used to do property development and renovations. And I remember we had one that was extremely complicated. And in the end, we abandoned the project. That was actually on a lease option, funny enough. We had to abandon the project because the city were a nightmare. Every last thing they would just put an objection against. And it was already difficult enough taking this office unit and turning it into apartments, which would have provided housing for a lot of people where there was a shortage of housing. And in the end, we just walked away from it. So I can see why a lot of developers are saying, we don't want to do it. It's cheaper just to build rather than do these conversions, even though the government is giving grants on this at the moment. Just looking through if there's anything else I wanted to add here. Yeah, I mean, I could talk on all of this for a long time, but we've also got the Fed bank bailout program ending on March 11th as well. So this is going to be crazy when this ends, because what are these banks going to do when they were taking their assets, which, remember, the bonds fell half their price in value. And the bank said, oh no, don't worry. The Fed said, don't worry, we'll just give you the face value and we'll loan against them. I mean, can you imagine if that happened with any of your assets? No, it would never happen. They only did it because it's the Federal Reserve and the banks. So this is all going to be coming up for maturity very shortly. And you've got the added risk of the commercial real estate stuff. It's crazy, it really is. But I'll see you tomorrow for the weekly walk and talk. We'll pick up on a lot more. And if you're interested in, like I was mentioning, the private community, any of those macro videos that I do every month, you can find the link below. The next one will be out this weekend. And yes, you can see my investment spreadsheet with everything I'm invested in and all the stock watch list and everything else. So, all right, take care. God bless. I'll see you tomorrow.